Hey, how's it going, dudes? I believe we are live, both on Facebook and YouTube. Yeah, are we? Yes, I think we are. Wait a little bit for some others to join. Yep. Let's see. Well, I guess a few people are watching. Um, Got my morning coffee. It's a sunny day here in southern Aichi, Japan. Where I live down south, south of Nagoya City. So just so you know, very tropical place. Oh, I see one person. Hello. Who is that? Let's see who that is. Yeah, it'll be awesome if you could say your name and say, hey, where are you watching from? Country, region. That'll be cool. Latifa, I guess that's you. Hey, how's it going? Wave back to you. Yep. Happy you joined. Yeah, what time is it in your region, by the way? Are you from Southeast Asia, Europe? I don't know. If you could tell me that, it'll be great. Other people. Oh, there's another guy joining. Whew. I'm happy you guys are joining. How's it going? Yeah, I'm doing fine. Actually, let's see. Yeah, Latif, I'm doing all right. I was gonna make a video about some questions that you guys had in this group. And yeah, I'm just waiting for you guys to join. But how are you doing? What's your status there? What have you been learning recently? I really want to hear that. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. Jeez, what are you doing, man? Really? I'll be like snoring my butt off when it's at like 3 a.m. Oh yeah, I guess people are joining, so I'll start. All right. Hey y'all, how's it going? This is Sean again. I own a language school here in Aichi, Japan. I teach Japanese and English, just so you know. Great weather here in Aichi. I live in Anjo City, which is down south from Nagoya. It's about a 30-minute drive. Yep, depending on traffic. Great weather. Yeah, I'm thinking about bringing you guys to the temple next time. There's like a big shrine or temple, like right there at the park there. So I'm thinking about that. If you're interested, just drop me a comment, all right? Yeah, so today, let's get into it, all right? So I get this message from a group member, a beloved member. I love you all, guys. I love you all, guys. So, yep, I appreciate that. And yeah, she says, I think this is a she. I don't know. It's her name's not in English. It's a different language, so I don't know. But he or she is, hello, sir. Can I ask a question? Yes, you may. When you're studying kanji, is it necessary to learn both kunyomi and onyomi? Don't panic. I'll teach you that. All right. So if you don't know what onyomi kunyomi is, so in Japanese there are two types of there's kanji, right? So like the Chinese characters, and there are two ways of reading it. There's the Chinese way, which is onyomi. There's the Japanese way, which is kunyomi, right? And yeah, depending on what the length, I guess. Usually when there's only one kanji, it's normally kunyomi, which is the Japanese way of reading it. And when you connect two or three, two or more kanjis together. And when you read it, it's usually it becomes a onyomi, which is the Chinese way of learning it, reading it, right? Oops. Yeah, she says I want to learn Japanese, but I found it's hard. Yeah, it is difficult, but like I said, don't worry. We're in this group together. I'm here to support you, so nothing to worry about. The most important tip that I would give you is to not quit, because I teach both Japanese and English, but especially with language, it's like a lot of people just come and go. I'm learning a foreign language as well right now, by the way. It's a secret for now what it is, but I am, and I try to do it every day. And I've been doing it for like 2 weeks, about a week and a half now. And I noticed that it's a lot easier after you get the ball rolling, right? So like, it's like a car, you pushing it. Just imagine you're in the middle of the jungle, right? So like, you got no gas, you got a flat tire or something, and it's with language learning in general. It's usually the case where once you push that car for like about 30 seconds, it kind of it starts to move by itself, and you can kind of take your hands off of it, and you know what I mean. You get used to it. You know what I mean. So yeah, that's the case with language learning when it comes to language. So I believe the first few weeks, few months is going to be the toughest, but once you get through that, it's a lot easier. So yeah, it's like going to the gym. It's like the first day or two, you're going to be beaten, man. You're just going to be dead when you get back home. But after that, you get the ball rolling, you get the car moving to the point where you kind of take your hands off of it, and you're fine, right? So I believe that helps. Latifa, am I saying that right? Yeah, I believe so. So yeah, one example I wanted to teach you was good. She says yes. Good. Thank you for responding. So like I said, there are two ways of reading kanji: the Chinese way and the Japanese way, right? So I'll give you one example, right? So let me bring it closer here, closer to me. So I got this from my wife's mom. It's a mug cup from Brazil, I guess. Yep, there's a lot of Brazilian words on it. So yep. Number one, you have, let's say this kanji. You read that oto. Okay, that means sound. Okay, you read it oto. And when you have do you guys know that kanji? You want to answer that? I see a few people joining. I want you to answer that, actually. Yeah, a lot of you guys are just confused when I do these lives, but just don't worry. Just spit it out. It's the best way to learn is to actually make a mistake, and I can correct you. So anyway, that means fun. All right, fun. That's oto, and fun is tanoshi, right? Tanoshi. You read that tano, which means fun. Oto and tano, right? But so they're individual Chinese characters, right? Kanjis. But when you connect them, you use the Chinese way of reading, which actually becomes not oto and tano. It becomes on and gak. So ongak, which means fun sounds, means music, right? So when you connect these kanjis, the two Chinese characters, it means music. Isn't that clever? I got you there, right? Isn't that clever? I can't see you. All right, I'll show you that. All right, I'll bring you closer to that. There you go. Can you see that now? If you give me a thumbs up, I'll be happy if you can see that. If you can tell me that. Yep, that's the word sound. Oto. That's the word fun, tunnel. And that becomes not oto, but on, and not tunnel, but gak. So ongak, ongak, on, on. I'll write that in red actually. On, gaku, which means music. Ta-da! Great, great, great. So you guys can see it. Good. Thanks for the thumbs up, Latifa. Yeah. So as I mentioned in the first part of the video, that's oto and tanoshi. But when you connect it, it becomes ongak. So with two words, it becomes a kunyomi, right? An onyomi, which is the Chinese way of learning it, not the kunyomi, which is the Japanese way of reading it, right? So that's one example. I'll kind of leave it. I won't give you more examples, but that's kind of what you want to learn. And so this person actually asked me, is it necessary to learn both ways of learning, reading? So in Chinese and in Japanese, yes, it is definitely necessary. I'll bring it back. Oops. Get the computer back. Sorry about that. So yeah, to answer her question, it is absolutamente important to learn that. And I highly recommend, I'll probably force you to do that because I recommend doing that because without that, you really won't understand the language, right? Thanks. She says, oh yes, I get it. Good. Thumbs up. Good. Actually, by the way, did you know that, guys? Can someone give me a thumbs up if you already knew it? Yeah, I'd love to hear that. So that's kind of how you want to learn the language, right? I'm not saying do everything at once. It's always baby steps, like going to the gym, like I mentioned in the first part of the video. You don't want to go 7 days a week when you're first out. You want to do like once a week, and a month later you want to increase it to like 3 times a week, and then later it's 4 or 5. I don't know how many, as much as you want, right? And with kanji, I would recommend actually getting one of those like beginner N5, which is Nihongo 5, which means I think it's like the lowest level of Japanese that you can learn. It might be only hiragana, but depending on the level, there's a lot of like beginner kanji levels out there. So you can study with those books as well. And I highly recommend learning both the Chinese way and the Japanese way of learning. Very easy. Like I said, I've said this in many other videos as well, but I'll repeat it again here. That I did it when I was 7. All Japanese students do it at 6 or 7. So why can't you, right? Just forget the English or forget whatever language you were learning or you speak, and focus on a new way of thinking, right? It's always there's that culture behind every language, and you want to know how to use that. Instead of thinking in your language first, you want to get used to that culture, right? So like, for example, in Japanese, you don't say to be direct. So like to say no is a bit rude. So instead of saying, oh, in English too, I guess, you don't really say, I don't like that, right? You say, I prefer that kind of thing. In English culture, I guess it's the same, but in Japanese, we do that. We do the same thing. We don't really say, we don't even say, I prefer. We say, that's good, but I like this better. We always say it's good, even if you don't like it. That kind of thing, So you do want to learn, my point is you do want to learn Japanese or any other language in their way of thinking, not in your original like native language, because it's a really different way of communicating. Yep. Other questions? No. And actually one guy, I think Henrik, was that your name? Yeah, Henrik. Hi, if you're watching. Yeah, I saw your question in our Facebook group, and I'll answer that for you if you want. I'll just do it. Yeah, let me go back to that question. Yeah. You were saying, so verb plus kureru, what does that mean, right? So zoom you guys up again. I'll zoom in again. So you were saying, you were asking me about like 5 hours ago, or like yesterday. I don't know. I was in bed, so it's in the morning. It's early yet. So you were saying, let's erase that. Yeah. Let's go that way. You're saying what's verb plus kuderu, right? Oops, you can't see that. You gotta go that way. You're saying what's verb plus kuderu, right? Yeah, I gotta get a new camera, actually. The one that actually can automatically zoom in. Yeah, that kuderu thing right there. Verb. Can you guys see that? I'm not sure. But so he was saying, Henrik, good question. Actually, I'm really happy you asked that. So verb, like, let's say buy, right? Buy. And so with the word buy, which is kau, or please buy, or no, forget about that. Kau or katte, right? Katte. Verb kau, buy, and kureru means would you buy it for me? So like, for example, when you say, please drink this for me, would you drink it for me? Would you drink the rest? Nomu, right? So nonde, right there, nonde kureru. Or that actually should be a question, so question mark, right? Nonde kureru or katte kureru means would you please, if there's a question mark. And if there's no question, like Henrik asked in the group right here, like that, with no question mark, just the circle at the end is the period. It means for someone, there's someone who's going to do it for you, right? So like if it's katte kureru, it means the person's going to buy it for you, right? So like katte kureru, a question would be katte kureru would be could you buy it for me? Could you drink it for me? But well, if it's not a question, it means it's not would you, it's katte kureru means someone else is going to do it for you. All right, if that makes sense. If you don't understand that, please leave a comment. I'll get back to you as soon as I can, ASAP. So, yep. Let's see. There are 2 other people joining. Yep. So, let's see. Oh, someone says, hey, Sensei, I want to learn Japanese because I have some friends in Japan, but my problem is pronunciation. It's very difficult because I speak English, French, and a little bit of Arabic. No, sorry, English, French, Arabic, and a little bit of Spanish. Oh my God, you're like, what's that word for that? Like a guy that speaks 10 languages? Like polyglot? Yeah, polyglot. I think that's the word for it. Polyglot, right? Yeah, not 10. Sorry, knowing we're using several languages. That's pretty cool, man. Yeah, that is very cool, Latifa. I admire you. Great work. I actually have a friend. Yeah, I actually have a friend that speaks like 5 languages. He speaks like English, French, German, Korean, and some Slavic, like Russian or something. I don't know. It's like Slovenian or whatever, right? And like I said, going back to the story where I pointed out the fact that once you get the ball rolling or the car moving, you don't need to do it anymore. You can just take your hands off. He said the same thing. He was saying that once you get your second and third language, you actually know how to like get used to a new language, like a new environment per se. So it's a matter of actually getting into that environment, setting yourself up in that environment, and not actually like putting it off. You can always say something like, I'm going to do it tomorrow, but no, you got to do it today. What I do with my second language learning, I'm learning my third language. I'm learning my third language, and I try to do it every night before I go to bed. It's like a before bed 30-minute podcast thing that I do, which is very effective. I did it last night. No, sorry, I did it yesterday morning. But anyway, doesn't matter when you're doing it. It's really effective as long as you do it every day. So, yep, that's what I would suggest. And you speak English and French. Yeah. I assume so. I thought you're trying to say that. So wow, our group member, one of our group members, actually is able to speak English, French, Arabic, and Spanish. Yeah, you're obviously a good English speaker. You're typing like a pro. So and you're learning another language, which is Japanese. Yeah, man, good. That's totally good for you, man. Yeah, like I said, I have a friend, still have a friend that does that. But that's like, to me, it's kind of a bit unbelievable. But as I learn my third language, I'm really kind of in that environment where I need to use it. And I kind of noticed recently that it's not that hard to like getting used to it's hard. That's totally hard. I'm not going to discredit you for that. But absorbing it after that, once you get the ball rolling, once you get the car moving, you can just say bye-bye. The car is still moving without your force, right? Without your power or your hand power, right? So with momentum, that's the word for it. The car or the ball, it has its own momentum. You don't need to touch it, right? So yeah, I kind of understand that feeling now, since I'm learning a other language that's not my own native language. So yep, that is pretty cool. Yeah, Latifa, you should post something in our group. You're pretty quiet in there. You gotta give us some energy, man. Could you do that for us, please? Yep. That would be great if you could. And yeah, I think I have another. Yeah, there's another person who asked in our group. Yeah. Let's see. Yep. Depending on traffic, great weather. Yeah, I'm thinking about bringing it. Oops. So. So Latifa, what's your yeah, you actually commented. You were saying it's really hard to learn the pronunciation. Yeah. If you speak so like I've noticed reading your comment there that English, French, Arabic, and Spanish, they're all, I don't know about Spanish, but English, French, and Arabic, they're all the Indo-European languages, right? So it's kind of similar. The construction or the sentence, how you construct your sentences are kind of the same. Not the same, but similar, right? So like FYI, my wife is Brazilian. So when I learned, because I come from an English background, right? English and Japanese, I know both. So coming from that sort of background, learning Portuguese was very, like I said, getting used to it was hard, but understanding the structure was not difficult, right? So your problem, Latifa, it might be that you come from an Indo-European language family. I don't know what your native language is, but native tongue is, but most of the languages that you speak, that you mentioned right here in your comment, I believe is Indo-European. Yeah, as we say in our language field, we call that. Yep, that's what it's called. And the structure of the language, the family is the same. The language is the same. So switching from your language family to Japanese, which is kind of not found, is still a mystery, I guess. Yeah, FYI, the origin of Japanese, like where it came from, is kind of not discovered yet. It's probably too old that yeah, it might be that it's too old and they don't know where they've never had papers or documents of it. Maybe it's pretty old stuff. So we do know Korean, which is our neighbor, by the way, Korea. We do know where Korean comes from, but they actually don't know where Japanese comes from. So yeah, your problem might be switching to a language that is kind of not classified as anything yet in 2022. So that's pretty crappy. That's kind of sucks, but yeah, I guarantee you, if you do it every day, listen to our podcast. I'm having a podcast next month, by the way. I'm launching one next month. So yeah, if you listen to that, I will definitely tell you the tips and tricks of learning Japanese and like actually putting yourself in a situation where you have to repeat. Well, you don't need to if you want, if you don't want to, but I will tell you to repeat. So that'll be a good reminder for you to repeat after I talk and my other Japanese friend talks. We talk to each other. So yeah. Yes, my wife speaks English too. She is very, very fluent. She often gets upset, gets mad at me in English as well. And sometimes I cannot fight back because her words are very strong sometimes. So, yep, my point is she's a very good English speaker. And like I said, yeah, she comes from a Portuguese background, right? So, and she also speaks Japanese. So, starting with Portuguese or the Latin language, going from Portuguese to English was very easy for her because the main structure was the same, right? Not everything. Like in Portuguese, they don't say big car or blue eyes. They put the adjective at the last part. So it's like car big or car small, not big car, big small car or small person, big person, right? They put the big or small or tiny at the end of the sentence. So that was kind of, yeah, that kind of sucked for me at first. But after a month of her shouting at me or her family kind of screaming at me, I kind of got used to it, right? Like, yeah, I won't give you any examples because we're a Japanese group here, but in any language is kind of like that. Yeah. What about Japanese? What do you mean? What about Japanese? Like, does she speak it? Yes, she does. She's very good at it. And yeah, this whole live is about the Japanese language. But let me tell you, we're gonna get into a little bit of the job details, job market here, right? In our previous live, I actually told you that it's, as I told you in our previous live, it's actually a great idea to learn Japanese right now because I think I put a link there in our last group live, but I actually showed you in what sector they're looking for immigrants to join the fam here, to join Japan and come here to Japan and actually work. You know, the population is declining big time. So we have that serious crisis here. I see it on the news every day, and not every day, but you know what I mean, like all the time, right? And that's a huge problem, major issue right here in Japan right now. So they want not only the Japanese to have more babies, but they want, more immigrants, which is, I'm happy about it. I love borders, but I also do, like people from a international background like me. So yeah, FYI, I went to school both in Japan and West Coast US. My parents would send me to both, coast to coast, Pacific to, yeah, I guess they're both Pacific, but I lived in Kyushu for most of my life. And then I would go to the West Coast. They would send me there because I'm both Japanese and American, by the way. And what was my point? I forget. Yeah, so I love, although I like borders, we need a tight border, but we also do need, more international people like you, like our group. And yep, there are a lot of talks about, people, what's the word for it? I forget, like cyber terrorism, right? So like each country has their own, like China has their own Facebook or like China Instagram, like Chinagram or some, whatever you call it, right? And Russia has their own thing. And Japan has a lot of apps that I don't think you can only that, like you can do it anywhere you want, but only the Japanese know it, right? So it's like focused on the Japanese, like mainstream media, not like BBC, CNN, which I think is kind of clever because, you don't, nowadays it's a lot easier to get a lot of information, but there are a lot of issues with that comes with that, right? And yeah, I'm not trying to be political or anything. I'm just saying we should have a there are certain limitations, but if you do study the language, you would certainly be able to come here. So my point is, why not join, right? So yeah, there are a lot of people who come to Aichi. There are a lot of factories down here, especially in southern Aichi, not northern, because Nagoya is like a big white collar place, like an office job marketplace, right? So if you come to southern Aichi, you would have a lot of fun, good weather, relaxed people, not too what's the word for it? Strict. Asian culture can be a little bit strict sometimes, but in southern Aichi, that's not the case. I would say about 20 or 30% of the population is from somewhere else, meaning not Japanese. I mean, they might come from a Japanese family, but they're themselves, like the person is actually from raised in a different country, and they just came back because of their parents or something, right? And yeah, I see a lot of that. So it's kind of going to Los Angeles. It's not really. It's kind of a mini Latin town. I would go to LA with my grandparents every year to Disneyland, to Anaheim. But man, what you see there is pretty cool. I loved it, man. It doesn't have that old 90s, 80s, 90s America vibe, right? It has that global, feel to it. And I love it. There's Chinatown when you go to Northern California, which I really like. And I guess California's a really global place, international place. But yeah, come to Aichi, you'll get the same feeling. It's pretty cool, man. It's pretty cool. I like the fact that there are a lot of like Brazilian or like Latin stores where they really, it's kind of crazy because like it's to the point where they really don't care what language you speak to them. It's like, it's not even Japanese, right? So like it's interesting because when I was in California, it's like wherever you're from, when you do something at this shop, it's usually in English, right? Every transaction is in English. And that was kind of normal for me. But when I moved to Aichi, it's usually the case where there's no official language in any store. If that makes it's like whatever you can communicate to that person. You just show the thing and say like money or like how much is it, right? And it's kind of crazy, but it is really interesting. I like both the traditional Japanese stores where like only Japanese is the language you speak, and I also like places where I can just like get away with smiling, say hi, say how much is it? I just say money, how much is it? And just get out of there, and they give me a big smile back, and that's kind of the thing you get in Aichi, not Nagoya, but Aichi as a whole, except for Nagoya. It's kind of a different situation there in Nagoya. It's a traditional place. It's a more Japanese place. So if you like that kind of thing, you can go up there, but I would avoid it because I prefer the relaxed, calm environment that I'm in right now. Yep. It all depends on what you want, dudes. Anyway, I think I've answered all the questions. So yes, I'll end this live, all right? Do you guys have any other questions? I'll give you another 20 seconds to ask that. I'll end it there. Oh, another question. Is Japanese like Chinese? All right. Great question. A lot of people ask this. A lot of people think it's totally the same. Totally wrong. Okay. Do not believe anyone on like a random Facebook group that says Japanese is kind of like Chinese. No, it is not. And I do give them credit when they say the characters are the same. Yeah, we in Japanese we use the Chinese characters, but that's the only thing that's the same, right? So for example, I would go to Beijing, China. A very cool place. I loved it. Loved the food. Loved the frogs there. I ate frogs, guys. At first, I was a bit unsettled. I guess that's the word, if you will, unsettled. But I loved it. It tastes like chicken, normal chicken, wherever you get, right? Anyway, I was in Beijing, China, and I would understand what it said. Right? It's like bathroom, or like entrance, exit, right? So I would hop on a train or a bus and say, but I can't speak the language, but it would say, like pay your money, like put your money in this box. And I would understand that, but their pronunciation is completely different. Like I said, the main subject of this video is of this live is the Chinese way of reading it and the Japanese way of reading kanji, right? And I'll go back to that part of this video and let me add something to it. All right. So again, you can go back like 20 minutes there. I talk about how you read, how different it is when you read in the Japanese way and the Chinese way, but go back if you want. And so in Japanese, there's the Chinese way and the Japanese way of learning it, of reading it. And it's called onyomi and kunyomi. Kun is the Japanese way. On is the Chinese way. So, yep, Latifa, to answer your question, you can read Japanese if you know Chinese, a little bit of Chinese, but understanding the language, no. You got to understand Japanese, not Chinese, because it's totally different. Okay. And by the way, guys, Korean is not the same, not even close. I guess the structure is the same, but we use the different alphabet and the characters, and it does not sound the same at all. So, yeah, I see a lot of, weirdos out there, a lot of people out there saying, oh, East Asia, the language is similar, but no, it is not similar, in my opinion. I guess it's not really an opinion. I guess it's a no-brainer that once you come to Japan, you'll notice, no, it's totally different. So please remember that, all right? So Latifa, yep, is Japanese like Chinese? No, it is not, okay? Sorry if that is a bit disappointing to you, but it's totally different. So please remember that. All right. So guys, I will talk to you, I think on the weekend. I'll try to do a live here on Sunday, which is, I think in Asia, it's going to be on Sunday, but in Europe, America, it'll be Saturday night or Saturday morning. I don't know. I'm not sure, but I think so. Yeah. Oh, she says, oh yes, thank you. Yep. Thanks. You're welcome. You're welcome, Latifa. Yeah, so if you do have any comments, please comment and put it there, and I will talk to you guys later, right? Ciao, ciao. Bye-bye.